He does it
Ryan
well.
Harris. Man, it's always good to see you. Ryan, say hello to Jim Trotter. Just happy to see you on the show today and happy to talk some football with you.
Michael, always great to be on with you. And Professor Trotter, I'm a surfer, so I'll look you up. We'll get you on the board next time I'm out there. And Michael, man, thank you for sharing your platform and allowing us to come on here. It's so diverse. It's so creative, man. You're really doing it, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask you this. Speaking of diverse and creative, that's what we thought. That's what we thought the Denver Broncos offense was going to be with Russell Wilson. And it just hasn't, Ryan, and you cover this team, you see him up close, and you saw him in training camp. It just really hasn't come together. And I wonder, why you think that is. I mean, I could come up with 100 guesses, but So what's going on with the Broncos offense?
Well, two things. One, you have a quarterback who knows how to win in the NFL, teaching young players who don't know how to win, hey, you can't rely on me to scramble all the time to get our first downs, to create plays. We can do that weeks 8 through 17, but we're not going to major in that to start the season. So he's teaching these young guys how to be in the right spot, how to be prepared to win, and he's really developing wide receiver Cortland Sutton. The other thing that's happening is you have a experienced, veteran, talented quarterback with a first-time head coach. And so what he's doing, Russell Wilson, is allowing Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach, to call the plays, run the offense like he wants it. And I'm telling you, about week 7 or 8, things are going to change for the best. Now, when I was playing with Peyton Manning, he did that in the end zone of the second game of the year when we were down 14 points in Kansas City. But he also had a veteran head coach in Gary Kubiak. Veteran head coaches and quarterback know that moment comes between when the coach wants to do something and the expert on the field saying, this is what's best. They look forward to that. But when you have a first-time head coach, Nathaniel Hackett still thinks he's calling the right plays to create success. He doesn't know that it's Russell who determines when to call those plays to reach the ultimate success.
You know what, Ryan? It's fascinating that you say that because prior to the start of the season, I think Michael and I had this conversation where I said I was intrigued to see how Russell was going to mesh in an offense where Nathaniel Hackett runs a timing offense where you plant that back foot and the ball is supposed to come out. Russell Wilson is a guy who, for all of what he did in Seattle, one of the criticisms was that he hung on to the ball too long, which compromised the offensive line and created issues sometimes downfield. So to hear you talk about this relationship between the two of them, I'm fascinated to see how that is going to work as we progress in the season, because something's got to give there. And I never anticipated, and I'm not sure if you did, that this offense would be this bad this early with Russell Wilson behind center. Did you see that?
Well, I was at practice, and I did see how little there was of a run game, how inconsistent they were in the passing game, and especially in the red zone. Outside of one practice, they really didn't find success. But the good thing is, talking to Nathaniel Hackett, he knows that he wants Russell Wilson's input, so he's open to that. A lot of times you get a coach in there who doesn't want the input of a quarterback. I mean, like Josh McDaniels, when he was here in Denver, he was saying, I know the plays. We can beat anybody. Okay, coach, whatever you say. So there's going to be a point in time when Russell feels comfortable in the offense and Nathaniel Hackett's willing to let him take the reins of the control.
How do you see this tonight? I know that you look at things through a Denver lens, and that's all right. That's all right. But you see two, I guess, struggling, underachieving teams tonight. The Broncos, we had high expectations for them. A lot of people did. The Colts, a lot of expectations for them. They got one game, one win, and when they lose, they really look bad and overmatched and just disjointed. How do you see this one playing out tonight on Thursday Night Football?
I think it's going to be a tight game, but the Broncos pull it out. Listen, there are major issues with the Colts. Last week, Frank Reich saying, hey, we might have to throw it on every down. Only problem, guys, is Matt Ryan's been sacked the third most of any quarterback in the NFL at 15 times. You also lost Jonathan Taylor. Matt Ryan's the second leading rusher on the Colts. I hope Naheem Hines is doing a great job and going to have a great game. But listen to those words. That's insane. They have injuries and inconsistency on the offensive line. They do have some tight ends, the Colts, who are fantastic. I mean, they got Jelani Woods and others who are just superior at that tight end position. Of course, they've got Pittman. But you got Denver Broncos at home. Thursday, travel really matters, guys. In the NFL, playing in those games, I can tell you, when you have to get on that flight for a Thursday game, very different than staying at the team hotel and being in your own environment. So I got the Broncos here. The injuries, although they lost Javonte Williams, their running back as well, they're built to overcome those obstacles a lot better, especially at home, than the Colts on the road.
You know, Ryan, when you talk about losing Williams, that's huge. And then also we've got Melvin Gordon with the fumbling issues. What impact do you think this running game and the issues that it is having is going to have on the Broncos, not just tonight, but going forward?
Well, the good thing for Melvin Gordon is he has the greatest opportunity in the NFL to change the narrative about his career. If he comes out tonight, has 150 yards rushing, no fumbles, he's going to be able to be that guy that he believes he is. But this is a major issue. The Broncos had to go out and get Latavius Murray because of the lack of depth at the running back position. Melvin Gordon's fumbled 4 times each game, some of them detrimental. One at the Seahawks, literally on the 1-yard line. So this is huge. And Melvin Gordon's a different guy. He said before that he prefers to be the number 1 back without anybody ahead of him and that he plays better that way. He also said in public, guys, that he doesn't like the first 5 weeks of the season because guys hit too hard. He prefers the middle and end of the season where guys are a little easier on tackling him. So I'm not sure what kind of character that you have there in Melvin Gordon, but he gets to prove everybody right or wrong tonight, and few have that opportunity this week.
But Ryan, let me ask you this real quick, though. Wait, let me ask you.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
You know defensive players. When they hear a quote like that, what do you think the thought process is?
Forget defensive players, Professor. I mean, how about anybody who has to go into the NFL? This is why you're here, and this is how you win championships. I mean, I could tell you from playing against the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick is going to have his guys so physical, they try to disrupt your focus from running normal plays that you know how to run. That's the name of the game. And if you don't flinch, if you bring back that physicality, many people don't know what to do. But for a running back, a key player like that, a star to say that, I mean, I spent 10 years in the NFL, 20 years around this game. That is unheard of. And I have problems with that early on, but not as big as him saying, I don't like to compete with somebody. That's the NFL, man. What job did you think you chose? You're not a substitute teacher. You have to perform, and competition makes us all great.
See, and that's what I wanted to get to. It's just like, stop giving people excuses to take your job away from you. It's hard out here. Talk to people. It's hard to find a job, and you're going to go around saying, well, I just tried that first month and change of the season. I'm just not really ready for that because it's just too difficult. What's wrong with you? What's going through your mind? And on the flip side, now I want to ask you both about this because and especially you, Ryan, having played the game on offense. On offense, this is especially important. I must be missing something when a couple of weeks into his head coaching career, Nathaniel Hackett, after struggling with time management, executive functioning for head coaches, okay, he struggles with it. They bring in somebody to just pay attention to the clock. Now, for fans, we look at it and say, well, how hard could it be? You only got X amount of time. You got this whole sheet. It's color-coded. You have meetings all week. You know what you want to call. There's a third and long. There's third and short. There are your shot plays. It's all mapped out for you. Why the hell are you struggling with the play clock? Please give us some insight because it's really difficult to understand from the outside looking in.
Well, number one, it's always problematic when you have a head coach calling plays. And really, if you look at the NFL, there's about 3 head coaches who can do that consistently. Doug Peterson, who, oh, by the way, played and has been a coach for a very long time. Sean McVay, which I don't know if anybody else would understand his play calling, right? But you have to be quick with it. And one of the things that coaches forget is you don't have time to think. You have to have your next play, right hash, left hash, ready to go at the snap of the first down. Like if you're running a second down play, hey, right hash, we're going to Michael. Left hash, we're going to Professor Trotter. That first down gets snapped. You already know what you're running on second down. So that process speeds up tremendously, and it catches many coaches off guard. Now, I would anticipate at some point him handing off the play calling responsibilities, as many head coaches do, so that they can focus on the greater piece of the game. I mean, when you're in the third quarter, don't lose the game because you had a 0 blitz on 3rd and 1, right? These are the little things that coaches really need to be in control of. And when you go from a coordinator who your end goal is a result to a head coach where you're taking care of an entire team, the duties are drastically different, and you can be caught off guard quickly in an NFL game with the speed and tempo at which operations happen.
You know, Ryan, I want to say that, and I'm going to surprise Michael a little here, I think. I want to applaud Nathaniel Hackett for at least acknowledging some shortcomings. The fact that he went out and brought someone else in as a first-year head coach, I'm not sure that there are a lot of head coaches who would have done it that quickly, because his game management skills really hurt this club the first couple of weeks, I thought. And being at the opener in Seattle, I thought some of his decision-making was really suspect. So to me, for him to acknowledge, be able to look in the mirror and say, I was deficient, or we need help there, let's go out and get it, I at least give him credit for that. That doesn't mean that he's going to turn out to be a great head coach, but at least he has the humility to say, I don't have all the answers in certain situations. Let me go out and get help to help this team win.
100%. And what it shows, Ryan, more than
exactly. I was going to ask you, what message does that send to the players?
Accountability. And that's the number one thing you have to do as a head coach in an NFL locker room. You have to be willing to say, hey guys, this was on me. This was my fault. I didn't put you in the right play. And what I love, two things, when I spoke to Nathaniel Hackett calling the Broncos games in the preseason, one, he understands the urgency. He said frequently, hey, if we don't win, we're fired. But I also asked him, I said, Coach, how do you plan on being accountable to your team? And he said, just tell them. I did it yesterday. I said, guys, I didn't give you a chance to really win on this play. And when you bring someone else in like that, what you're showing your team is how to accept that you've made a mistake, be accountable for that, and also take action. So now when he gives a coaching point in the meeting room, that has a tremendous value to guys because they know he's doing that in his life as a head coach. And that builds tremendous trust and eventually production when you have the trust of that team.
All right, so before we let you go, I may or may not have my wallet out, credit cards, cash. So we got Broncos tonight. I'm just asking for a friend over here. Broncos tonight over the Colts. Close game, by 6, by 4. I
think it could be like 17-14 Broncos. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be a knockout, drag-out. One key aspect is going to be a linebacker named Baron Browning from a university called Ohio State. He's made a transition from middle linebacker to defensive end, and he was disruptive in the preseason at that defensive end position. If you're watching the game or you're listening on Westwood One to hear me talking about it, you hear Baron Browning, it's going to be a long night for the Colts because he can get after the quarterback. They must teach a little football there at Ohio State, Michael.
Hey, I tell you, Ryan, I'll say this. You bring up a great point because most people you meet from the Midwest just aren't that outwardly arrogant. Maybe it's a quiet confidence / arrogance, but to call yourself the Ohio State University. I remember when they started, they're like, what are you trying to do here? What are you like? It's just coming off the wrong way.
I can't bring myself to say it, so I got to say Ohio State University. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. Well, you're more than just a guest. You're more than just a guest, Ryan Harris. You always have a home here. Stop by anytime. Love talking football with you. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you both. Go Irish.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you to that surfing lesson too, Ryan.
Heck yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.